Hello everyone, tonight we'll be discussing the ice storm potential for the central US. This is going to be my first video, so it's not going to forecast video, so it's not going to be anywhere near perfect, but I'll try to do as good as I can. But we'll just be discussing the impacts of this and the potential impacts through tonight and tomorrow. So as of 8:12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, there are currently winter weather advisories up for parts of the central U.S., as well as winter storm warnings up for parts of eastern Oklahoma, and then ice storm warnings up for parts of western Arkansas. So taking a closer look at these current warnings, we have ice storm warnings up for major towns and cities such as Fayetteville, Arkansas, Fort Smith, Arkansas, and then 2 counties into Oklahoma are also in a ice storm warning. Then we have winter storm warnings up in Ardmore, McAllister, and Muskogee. So right here we have the 18Z GFS from today, and as you can see here, there's going to be a lot of ice being dumped into Oklahoma and Arkansas, into Missouri throughout the night into Monday morning. As you can see right here, this ice will continue in Oklahoma and Arkansas until the early morning hours tomorrow. Then it will slowly get into parts of Missouri, mostly southeastern Missouri, and then into Illinois tomorrow evening and tomorrow night. There will be a chance for a good amount of ice tomorrow, and then that continues up into Indiana, and even parts of Ohio could see ice as well, and at times there may be some snow mixing in as well. So looking at the 18Z GFS again, parts of all the way this ice, freezing rain and ice will span pretty much from south central Oklahoma all the way up into Ohio and into Pennsylvania as well, but mainly into the central US and into the Ohio Valley. So as you can see here, some freezing rain totals almost over half an inch showing up in southern Missouri and northern Arkansas, well over a quarter of an inch showing up in Oklahoma, and in Illinois at least a tenth of an inch throughout the central parts of Illinois, and into Indiana up to over a quarter of an inch showing up from about central Indiana to northern Indiana, and then into northern Ohio maybe up to a quarter of an inch in some spots, but mainly to about a tenth of an inch in parts of Ohio. And then for Pennsylvania, maybe a little over a tenth of an inch in Pennsylvania. So as you can see right here, here's our system on the 18Z 3 kilometer NAM. And as you can see, all this ice being dumped into Oklahoma, and then eventually Arkansas, and then Missouri as well. This goes into Illinois and Indiana, and then maybe even parts of Kansas could see some ice too, but mainly this area right here. There is a chance for it to change into snow in Iowa, parts of Iowa as well, but not too much snow with this. Mainly the ice threat is the biggest problem with this. So if we look here at the ice totals in the central US, we have almost three quarters of an inch showing up in Oklahoma. I hope this does not happen, but I think the NAM's overdoing this just a little bit, but definitely totals over a half inch at least in Oklahoma, and this will continue up into Missouri. Same thing there, with ice totals possible maybe up to half an inch, but at least of a quarter of an inch showing up in some places. The ice does kind of span, into Kansas and then Nebraska and then Iowa for a little bit, and then kind of spotty in Arkansas. Then if we look kind of towards the Midwest, again, almost 3/4 of an inch showing up into Illinois, and then kind of central Missouri there. But again, this is probably, the NAM's probably overdoing this just a little bit, but definitely a good layer of ice showing up throughout Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and then parts of Ohio, as well as maybe even into Michigan as well, with almost a 1/2 inch showing up there too. But there won't be a ton of snow with this system, but definitely a good amounts in Iowa, a couple inches showing up there on the 18Z NAM, 5 maybe 6 inches showing up in Wisconsin, and then same thing with Michigan, maybe 5 or 6, maybe 7 inches showing up on the 18Z NAM in Michigan, and then into parts of New York state could see a couple inches scattered throughout the state, maybe 4 or 5 inches towards maybe Buffalo. So now kind of looking at the HRRR, this is the 18Z run, and you know, showing the same thing with all that ice showing up in Oklahoma and Arkansas and Missouri. Maybe some potential for snow to show up before it turns into ice tomorrow morning. This continues into the evening, tomorrow evening, and then into Tuesday morning with all the ice showing up in Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. Then, as you can see, that snow showing up in Wisconsin and Michigan. Same thing there, showing up in New York and parts of maybe northern Pennsylvania, and then maybe parts of Ohio could see some snow too, but mainly ice. And then that'll eventually switch to rain maybe Tuesday midday. So if we look at this is the latest HRRR. It doesn't go all the way out to 48 hours because it still hasn't fully came out yet. But if you look into Arkansas on the 0Z HRRR, maybe, I mean, some parts of maybe north central Arkansas seeing possibly up to 3/4 of an inch of ice. Hopefully this doesn't happen, but it's always good to be aware. For Oklahoma, I mean, from central to eastern Oklahoma, scattered 1/4 inch to 3 or 4/10 of an inch there. And then with southeast Kansas, maybe 1/10 to 3/10 of an inch showing up there. And then pretty much widespread ice showing up in Missouri, with at least a good little bit of a coating on the ground throughout most of Missouri. So looking at the 18Z HRRR again, because the 0Z doesn't go as far out as I would like it right now to show all the ice, but major ice showing up on the 18Z HRRR for central Illinois. I mean, you've got over an inch showing up here, which this is pretty substantial. This kind of goes over into Indiana as well, with almost a 1/2 inch showing up for Indiana, and then ice still showing up, decent amounts of ice showing up in northwest Ohio. So if we take a look at the 0Z HRRR, it's updated a bit more, where we can see the most updated information, but still on the 18Z HRRR, maybe possibly up to an inch in Illinois. And then same thing it was showing earlier, with scattered 1/4 to 1/2 inch totals possible in these areas, and then maybe a 1/2 inch possible in Indiana, and then into Ohio, maybe 1/10 or 2/10 of an inch possible there. So if we take a look at the 0Z HRRR snow totals, it's not as showing as much as the NAM, but definitely, you know, maybe a light dust, or not dusting, but good maybe an inch or so of snow in northern Illinois, and then maybe an inch possible in extreme northern Indiana. Then maybe three or 4 inches showing up in Michigan, and then it kind of shows maybe an inch, 2 or 3 inches in northwestern Pennsylvania, and then kind of scattered maybe 1 inch, 2 inches in spots, maybe 3 in parts of New York. So that's gonna be it for tonight's update. I know it was kind of short and not too in depth, but this is kind of my first ever kind of forecast, so I'll definitely try to improve and just work on getting more in depth. But if anyone has any suggestions or ideas or anything that can, help me out, or if I need to get more in depth in a certain area or cover something I didn't cover, just feel free to let me know in the comments. I hope everybody is safe, and I forgot to mention this earlier, but for the ice totals, once you start to get over about 1/4 of an inch, it starts to get pretty dangerous for the power lines and stuff. Just weighing it down, you could have definitely some major power outages in these areas. But I hope everyone has a great evening and stay safe.